What's up, everyone? This is Tracy from VIVNE. Yes, I'm finally back after a long break, and today I'm bringing something super practical, especially if you are tired of limited range or if you are considering to upgrade your Leaf slightly. Today's video is just for you. In this video, I just want to show you guys a true story. One of our customers from United States, he upgraded our 50 kWh battery for his Nissan Leaf AZE0. To be honest, I really appreciate his kindness since he filmed everything from unboxing the modules and then install it by himself. He also do the range test in real world. Curious if this upgrade is worth it? Let's dive straight into the footage. Okay.
Nissan Leaf. Should be here any minute. Packaged very good, wrapped very well. All right, let's get to it. All right, moment of truth. C, module C. Yeah, nice and wrapped in plastic really well. Okay, here it is. It's packing list. Module C. Now I'm going to be careful not to touch anything. This looks like the terminals. I'm going to want to get a voltage reading if I can off of this. We got positive and negative. I'm going to see if I can get my voltage meter on here and see what kind of volts we got, what we're working with. So I want to make sure I'm on DC volts. My negative here, if I can get through it, make sure I'm not touching any leads here. It's like 87.2 volts on module C. All right, I did my best to maintain the cover on here. Now 87.2 volts, that's not going to kill me. I've been popped with 110 before, 120 volts. But this will be enough to break the insulation of your skin. Anything above 35, 40 volts will break the insulation of your skin. I do have some electrical gloves, safety gloves that I will be wearing. Okay, probably the hardest part of the build is getting these heavy modules in place. This is module A, goes on the driver's side, front of the pack. Then we got module B, goes on the passenger side, front of the pack. And then you got C and D that go in the back of the pack, and they stack on top of each other. I suggest a two-man lift because these are quite heavy. Okay, when I set this in place, I noticed it just wasn't quite lining up right. There was like a gap. I couldn't figure it out, and pulled it back out. I looked, made sure nothing was preventing it from sitting down all the way. I put it back in. There's still a gap there. So what I did is I went back and looked at my supplies stuff, realized that there's a spacer they provide to make sure it take up that gap. So once I figured that out, I was able to put the spacer in and it bolted up beautifully. All right, let's continue watching. One thing I do want to mention that it is directionally orientated. If you put it in the wrong way, you got to flip it over so the bolt holes match. It goes in one specific way. You can see here, I'm noticing my problem. So I got to pull that module back out, flip this bar, put the module back in, and then everything was able to get bolted in. A little bit of a to-do, but we got her in there. All right, now I'm installing these spacers with the long bolts. So when you slap the last module on there, you're able to bolt it to the existing case without any problems. So here I am placing it down, putting the bolts in. We're all set. Okay, one thing to note, VIVNE does state that they do not want you to use power tools when tightening these bolts. Now, I use my power tool to tighten these bolts, but I just use them to run them down. I did not put any torque on the heads. I just ran them down until they were almost snug by hand. And then I went back through with a ratchet and tightened them down with a ratchet and socket. I did not put any torque with that power tool. So again, make sure you follow the instructions. I just did that because I didn't want to spin a ratchet 300 turns. It was quicker to do it with a drill. And there were so many bolts, so many nuts. It's just a lot faster to do this with a drill. So again, the recommendations: do not put any torque with a power drill. You do what I did. Make sure that you don't put any power at the end of the bolt. All right, here I'm just putting the remaining bolts on the back stack to bolt these down to the case. And then we're going to move on and start wiring this thing up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and replace this device. Don't know what it does, but sure it's something important. And I'm not going to strip these shrink wrap tubing until I'm ready to start making connections. I don't know if they supplied another one of these. Let me see if they supplied another one of these. If they did, I'm going to use the new one. And they did. Service plug to D negative. Right there, service plug to D negative. I wasn't happy about the dirt that came off of that. But anyway, I'm just replacing plugs now and getting everything plugged in, bolted down. And it's all pretty straightforward. Now, this bracket here was not fitting correctly. I actually had to bend it a little bit to get it to fit and get the sensors on there, but I ended up making it work. It was a little bit of a to-do, but we got her in there. Now, before anybody jumps in here about not wearing high voltage gloves, if you notice, all of the terminals on the modules do have shrink wrap on them, so it is fully protected. Okay, here's where I messed up. You see this connector here? It's a 16-pin connector. I thought it plugged in here. This is where actually the temp sensor plugs in. Now there's another connector down here which ties C and D modules together. I was supposed to plug those two together, and I plugged it into the BMS and I thought I ruined it. Ended up not being ruined. I got lucky, so don't make that mistake. Okay, so you got to reuse your old temp sensors and pull them off the brackets. And we got bracket for temp sensor. So a couple of these brackets actually fell off when I was trying to install this. They were spot welded onto the housing. I'm not going to weld it
because I'm not welding them when there's battery modules in there. So, okay, so after I got the temp sensor wires in, I turned my attention to the BMS. So I started going over here. Notice I had the brackets on the wrong side. Switched those over, got the BMS wired, installed, and then I'm going to start moving on to the rest of the installation and the wiring. Okay, I'm going to wire in the safety switch, and then we're going to move on and start wiring up these modules. Okay, all of these cables are provided, and they are labeled very nice, tell you where to connect them to. And you just want to make sure you got them nice and secure. They do provide the shrink wrap tubing, so you want to make sure that you get it shrink wrapped. That way there is no chance of anything getting grounded or isolation faults or anything like that. So, all right, so let's watch the rest of this install.
After watching Niko's
What'd you
video,
think?
don't you think installing
I'm gonna
our
show you the
battery
pack
module is
fully
super
installed and get
easy?
into some
No
close-ups
special
so you can
modification
see
at all.
the wiring and everything.
Nico shared his experience after the upgrade. He's absolutely thrilled with the performance. He also did a rage test, and I will post it in my next video. Never miss the rage test. Subscribe now. Thanks for watching.